Okay, so here's the thing, right? How does intelligent eating work? Why does it work? Why does it give results? Interesting stuff. Let me explain it to you. Take traditional person, nutritionist, personal trainer, for example, who's interested in what the term has been body transformation. All right. Okay. How does it work? So what happens traditionally? You'll meet with somebody for 1 hour, usually 1 hour a week. You know, you block a book of sessions, and in between those sessions, what are you asked to do? Usually write a diary or fill in something like this, which is like a food and mood diary, which means you've got to have a pen with you at all times. Do you always have a pen with you at all times? No, probably not. But you might have a pen with you most of the time. But here's the problem, twofold. One, this stuff gets old within a few days, all right? I.e., it gets boring. And then you lose it. And you're like, oh shit, I can't remember. And you've got to retrospectively think what you actually ate and so on. It's like, oh. Right? But the biggest problem with it is it's completely subjective. Let's say, for example, you sat down and enjoyed your dinner or some chicken, and you had some mashed potato and some peas and carrots. Wonderful. Okay, so you wrote that down. Thank you very much. That's really kind. We can look at reviewing that when we next meet in our next hourly session. But I have no idea how many peas you had or carrots you had. You're not going to count the amount of peas you had, are you? Did you have 15? Did you have 60? I don't know. You won't remember. So we don't know. And maybe you forgot to tell me about that rich sauce that went on the chicken. So you see, we totally changed what's happened. Doesn't work. So these things, they're really not effective. Yeah, they work for some people, I understand that, but not the smartest way of doing it. The smartest way of doing it, the clue's in the name, smartphone. Most people have got a smartphone. In fact, almost everybody I know has a smartphone. This is an iPhone, which is the best type of smartphone that you can get on the market. You can get Android phones as well, and I'm happy to look at those types of people as well, not a problem. But what I thought was more sensible, because cameras have improved massively. We all remember the days of the Nokia things, like I think it was it 7210 was the first one that had the camera? I can't remember. But you know, it was like some like 320 by 166 pixel thing. It wasn't great. But now most people have a smartphone with a camera on there that can produce like 12 megapixel photos. This is phenomenal. So what I do now with the people I work with is I ask them to send me pictures of every single thing they eat. Now, it sounds brutal, but it's not subjective, not at all. So, and that's a great way of doing it. So we can say, okay, well, if I have a look at this, what did you have for breakfast that day? There you go. How cool is that? So if I work with somebody for 6 weeks, I'm going to end up with 200 odd pictures, which is really cool. And let's say that person then decides to go out for, let me find it one. Let's say they decide to go out and they want to go out and have something to eat at a restaurant. Well, what can I do? There you go. They can select the one that's appropriate for their particular health goals. What a cool way of doing it. So do that over about 6 weeks. And do that because of something called neural adaptation, which is a bunch of fancy words, which means getting used to it. And what I mean by getting used to it is if you go to Costa Coffee or somewhere like that, what happens is you smell coffee. After 5 minutes, you don't smell coffee, right? Okay, go to a swimming pool or the sea, dip your toe in the water, feels a bit cold. After 5 minutes, you get used to it, doesn't feel cold anymore. That process of getting used to it, down regulation of sensitivity. Food takes a bit longer, usually 30 to 45 days. So I'll work with someone for a minimum of 6 weeks. In more severe cases, in terms of more chronic conditions, up to 12 weeks as well, really to get people on track. And then what I do at the end of it, this is what's really cool, because I bet everybody, almost everybody, has got crap like this in the house. Nothing wrong with Mary Berry. Love her a bit. She bought her old house that we used to live in Salcombe. But things like that. People have got stuff like this. People have got things like this. All right. Okay. People have got things like this. But stuck your eyes on this. Quite funny. They came in a Christmas cracker last year. Right. Okay. Here's another one. The Naked Chef. Wouldn't fancy seeing this guy naked, to be honest, now. But anyway, whatever. Right. So, bless him, passed away shortly, recently. And so on and so on. And then, you know, these types of books which are more specifically geared around health. But the thing is, most people have got loads of recipe books, but they don't use them. So what I do is I take the best of those pictures, which I just showed you in here, and what I do is I say, during the debrief, I say, hey, what were the things that you really enjoyed the best? And bear in mind, in between all of these, we have conversations, little chats. So rather than that 1 hour a week, what you're actually getting is loads of feedback. So if you eat something which is a bit crap or you know it's junk, doesn't matter, it's not judgmental. It's like, hey, okay, not a problem. What can we do better? What can we do better in that situation? So it's essentially digital accountability, but in a non-judgmental way. So it's like having somebody on hand who can just help you. And that's great. And I've got a wonderful team around me who can support me with that. What a cool way of doing things, I think. Different way of doing things. Anyway, but that's it. And it is devastatingly effective. It really, really is. So rather than those 1 hour sessions a week, which is what these folk do, and this is still what's kicked out by most personal trainers. I don't want to knock personal trainers. What they do is a good job, but this stuff is not 2017 stuff, and it certainly ain't going to be 2018 stuff. All right, so it's interesting. Also, what I've noticed as well, when I've compared the two with these, what gets better results, do you reckon? This or the other one? Which gets faster results? Which gets more long-term results? Because what happens, where this stuff was born from, of doing this, actually, was people were starting to send me food pictures and saying, hey Adam, is this sensible to eat? And my answer was, yeah, or no, or why are you eating that? What are your health goals? And it evolved from there. And that was about 18 months ago I started to do that. So you get better results. But what happens after people finish working with me and they've got their own recipe book, which we could create using something similar to Photobox for them. So they've got their very own recipe book. What happens is they continue to do it. So their health improves rather than the traditional route of where people do these short detoxes. And listen, they work. In some situations they do work. But what happens is they continue to want to take pictures of their food because that psychological jolt is still there. So it's behavioural change over time. Behavioural psychology, evolutionary psychology, mixed in with technology company. How cool's that? Love it. Anyway, that's what intelligent eating is, and that's how it works, and why it works, and why it gets fantastic results. Just thought you might want to know. Anyway, whatever.